Hello and welcome to another PlanetDestiny video. Today we'll be going over Hunter loadouts. Starting off, we're going to be taking a look at my Gunslinger build and then a few different armor selections that I like to use for both PvP and PvE. Later on, we'll be going into Bladedancer as well. Okay, starting out, this is my general Gunslinger loadout for PvP. Let me go into some of the reasons why I chose these talents. First of all, Trip Mine, despite it not killing someone if they have maximum armor, it's still a very versatile grenade. I can stick it to a wall, do massive damage to a large group of people. I can use it as a sticky grenade if I really feel adventurous. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool. However, because of the high armor thing, Incendiary Grenade is another good choice for PvP. For jumps, I use Triple Jump. It's just the absolute best jump for Gunslinger. There's no other comparison. For the Golden Gun tree, I use Combustion, as the explosions are very useful for control larger PvP maps where, there's going to be a lot of people kind of bunched together and, around a control point. I'm not a fan of Gunfighter in PvP because it just doesn't really get used that much. Basically every 5 kills you'll get your super up, so if I can just stay on top of that, Gunfighter won't really come into play. And Deadeye is not really important at all. Gunslinger's supers is incredibly accurate on its own. Increasing that just seems like a waste of talent. So Combustion is really the clear choice for PvP. For my throwing knife, I've been messing around with this a lot as of late. Up until about a week ago, I was 100% Incendiary Blade. But I've seen a couple of videos of people using throwing knife to real success in PvP, just getting one shot off with the hand cannon and then getting a throwing knife shot. So I've been kind of messing around with Knife Juggler, and I have to say, after a lot of play, I feel that Knife Juggler is a little bit better than Incendiary Blade. Mainly, if you're a high aim player and you can easily get off those precision knife kills in PvP, you will be heavily rewarded for it. I use Path Forbidden here. If you look at my stats, I prefer to go for a high recovery and high agility build. Armor, I just never really liked it. It basically only saves me from high rate of fire auto rifles, which doesn't come into play that much after all the nerfs auto rifles have gotten, and then it only saves me from trip mines. So personally, going for more mobility and more recovery, that just works out better in my favor. So Path Forbidden coupled with Way of the Nomad. This is just how I prefer to play. If you want to go a different route with your stats, go right on ahead. Now, this tree right here is kind of weak in my opinion. Scavenger, it's okay. Keyhole is really too situational. And Gunslinger's Trance, again, is very situational. But out of all these, it has the largest impact on your play. I'm pretty good at getting a lot of headshots, so Gunslinger's Trance is up fairly often. Even though it can only last 15 seconds, if you're getting into consistent fights, it'll stay up for a large duration of it. However, some people don't like it because it can fall off during a fight and you have to readjust how your recoil patterns go. So I understand why some people wouldn't like it. But out of this tree, Gunslinger's Trance is just the way to go. Now this tree, all of these talents are really good. Some people really like Chain of Woe. Getting your reload speed even faster because you're always going to be landing headshots in PvE is kind of the way to go. But for PvP, having 2 throwing knives is just so invaluable. If I miss one throwing knife, I'll have a backup. Sometimes I need to kill 2 people, and my first one was only a body shot, so I didn't get it back from Knife Juggler. Having 2 melees as a hunter is just so good. So this is my PvP loadout. And let me show you the armor choices that I generally go with for PvP as well. This is pretty much my standard loadout, as of right now at least. Hawkmoon, a sniper rifle. I use LDR for 3v3 because if someone gets rezzed and they have a res shield on, Praedyth's Revenge will not kill them with a headshot. It'll leave them with a smidgen of health. LDR has enough impact and armor penetrating rounds, it'll go through it. And then I use Radagast Fury, because I spent all this time, getting the exact rolls that I wanted. I'm going to use this thing. I really like it too. It's a really easy weapon to use to get a couple quick kills. Now my armor choices, I like to use Knucklehead Radar, mainly because I'm aiming down sights with Hawkmoon so I can get the first initial shot off and then get a throwing knife off. So being able to see my radar all the time is just crucial to me. For gloves, as you can see, I use a lot of different sets of gloves here. but these are the ones that I will normally use in conjunction with Knucklehead Radar, because they increase my hand cannon reload speed, and then they increase my grenade throw distance. And then my other stats, the chest piece, the sniper rifle and auto rifle ammo, I don't care about that. I just use it for the stats. And then tireless striders, again, I just use it for increased heavy ammo. Now for my stat choices, I'm going heavy on strength and then heavy on discipline. My thought process here is you're going to be using your grenades and your throwing knives a lot more than you will be using your super. And every 5 kills, you will get your super back anyway. And out of all the testing I've done, if you go 100% intellect, then it helps a little bit, mainly with just the recharge time. But if you're getting consistent kills, then it's not really going to make that much of a difference. So what I do to make more consistent kills, more discipline, more strength. Sometimes I don't need Knucklehead Radar. Say I want to use Might of Multi-Tool, which already has the Third Eye perk. I'll generally just trade it out for this other helm that I have, and again, it's a discipline strength helm, and it increases my grenade throw distance. Ideally, I'd have a different second perk there, but, you know, I'm impartial, I don't really care about it. And here, I would change my gloves. Changing my gloves now gives me increased melee attack speed, and then I still have my increased grenade throw distance. And then usually, since it's Might of Multi-Tool, I'll be switching over to Radiant Dance Machines, and I'll still have a very high strength discipline build, a little bit more intellect due to the gloves that I switched out for. As far as other weapons go, I like to use a lot of different weapons. Pretty much if it's exotic in this little box right here, I will be using it at some point in PvP. And then, as you can see, I really do like sniper rifles. That's pretty much all this is aside from Murmur and Secret Handshake. Speaking of shotguns, Secret Handshake is my preferred weapon on my hunter if I'm needing a close quarters weapon. I can usually kill someone with a throwing knife, but if they get in my melee range, they're usually going to be low enough so Secret Handshake can finish them off. And then a lot of times I'll also switch to Against All Odds as well. This is kind of a custom version with Rodeo, Field Scout, and Crowd Control. This is my general PvP loadout. I like to change stuff out a lot, mainly because it just keeps things fresh and interesting. Okay, now this is my PvE loadout for Gunslinger. I switched from Trip Mine to Incendiary Grenade. The main reason is Trip Mine, if someone's close to you and you stick them with a Trip Mine, it'll kill yourself. I've died way too many times to that, so I just kind of said, forget it. I'm just going to switch to Incendiary Grenade. It doesn't do as much damage with a direct stick, but, you know, it's just safer use, so that's what I'll generally go with. You'll notice that I've never picked Swarm Grenade. I don't like it, it's not interesting, it doesn't do enough damage, it's just not a very good grenade for Gunslingers. So Trip Mine and Incendiary Grenades are really the only choices you have there. Again, I'm going with Triple Jump, and here I'm also going with Combustion. Now, the only things that have really changed is I've gone to Incendiary Blade, mainly because sometimes I'll just want to get a little bit of extra damage in on a boss, so toss an Incendiary Blade at him, and it'll burn for a little bit. Knife Juggler just isn't that good in PvE, because, at least when I do PvE, I'm doing Nightfall or the Raid. I rarely do strikes anymore, and Knife Juggler would be a little bit more fun there, but then again, there's a lot of yellow health bar enemies, and I just prefer Incendiary Blade to do a little bit more damage. Circle of Life is probably one of the most useless talents in the game. Even though it does increase your armor a little bit, I'd rather get some actual use out of my knife than just a slight duration on Golden Gun. Once again, I'm going Recovery and Agility here. Same reasons as PvP. I want to move quick, recover quick, and I'm just going to use that to my advantage to not get hit. And here, still going with Gunslinger's Trance, mainly because just more stability in PvE means more damage that I'm going to be able to consistently do. And then instead of Gambler's Dagger, or Over the Horizon, I went with Chain of Woe. Reload speed is so good for PvE. I'm always going to be landing headshots, and then combining it with Gunslinger's Trance, it's just going to be so powerful. I'm going to be reloading really quickly, and I'm going to have really stable shots. Now, this is my general PvE loadout. I go in with Red Hand IX, and I've had a lot of questions about this, so we'll just answer it here real quick. I use Spray and Play, Perfect Balance, and Final Round on it. It's a really solid hand cannon, so that's why I use it. And then my general sniper rifle is not going to be Black Hammer. I will only bring that out on bosses where I know I'm going to get continuous shots off. Otherwise, I'm going to just use Effort Eat Spear. Main reason is Surplus, Field Scout, even more ammo, and then Final Round. So I'll be dealing a lot of damage, and even more damage with final round, and it's just a really good sniper rifle to use. And then of course, Yowlerhorn, because it's Yowlerhorn. That's pretty much the only reason. If I have a heavy weapon, specifically a rocket launcher, I want it to do a lot of damage. So Yowlerhorn is the way to go. Once again, if I need another heavy weapon, I'll just switch to against all odds, because, you know, I lucked out on these rolls right here, and it's just a really solid weapon to use. Most of the time though, Yowlerhorn for PvE. Now we've changed up helms a little bit. I'm going with Active Phase Symbiote because having 4 shots on your golden gun is just really good for PvE, especially with the combustion talent that I have. Lots of exploding enemies, or I can just put 4 rounds into a larger target. I really like this helm. It's pretty much the only choice for gunslingers in PvE in my opinion. The ATS-8 Arachnid helm is not very useful. It zooms in for accuracy, but I've never really come into a situation where that's actually helpful in PvE. I'd much rather just have the extra shot. And now, you'll see I'm level 32, using all the raid gear, and I'm using all discipline strength aside from one piece that has intellect. Ideally, for PvE, I'd be running intellect and discipline and not really caring about strength, but I have been very unfortunate with my rolls on my PvE gear to get level 32 at least, so I'm kind of stuck with a discipline strength build, which is fine because that's what I run for Iron Banner, so I can just swap some of this gear out really quick for that. And then of course, to crown everything off, I always run with Dead Zone Revolution, because let's just face it, it's the best cloak in the game. Now, on to Bladedancers. Okay, here's my normal PvP build for Bladedancer. I'm using Arc Bolt Grenade, mainly because Flux Grenade, it feels too similar to Trip Mine and Throwing Knives, so if I'm going Bladedancer, I want it to be a different playstyle. I want it to change up my gameplay a little bit. So I go with Arc Bolt Grenade, because you have to do some damage to someone to actually kill them with it. It's not just a simple throw it and then people will die. You actually have to deal damage. Throwing it into a group of enemies who you know have taken a little bit of damage on a point, really nice, you'll get a lot of kills with it. Now, in the jump tree, I go with Better Control, mainly because it gives me a little bit more recovery. Also, I've never gotten the hand of Blink. I don't like it that much. I prefer to know exactly where I'm going, and Blink just adds that unpredictability that I don't really like to my movement. However, there are a lot of players out there that are so successful with Blink. I hate them because it's so good. If you are a good Blink user, use it. If you're still struggling like me with using it, then just keep using Better Control or Higher Jump. I prefer Better Control if I'm going Bladedancer, so I can move around a little bit more in the air. Now for Arc Blade, I prefer Razor's Edge because it gives me a little bit more length and versatility with my Bladedancer. A lot of people like going Vanish, but I think that's only going to become useful in Inferno modes. You can still see someone running around on the map even if they're invisible. So Razor's Edge, if someone's kind of pinging you, you can easily just Razor's Edge along the ground and kill them from far away. Blink Strike, I go with Fast Twitch because Blink Strike is the strongest melee in the game as far as length goes. You can hit someone from very far distance with it, aside from Throwing Knife, of course, and having it on like a 4-second cooldown is just really, really strong. Once again, I play to the strengths of Bladedancer. More recovery, more agility, running around really quickly, and then recovering really fast behind cover. So Path Forbidden and Way of the Nomad to maximize that. I'm not a fan of going for more armor because then I lose out on too much recovery for it. So that's pretty much why I do that. And then I go with Fleet-Footed in this spec, mainly because increasing sprint speeds and extending slide distance is just really dirty in PvP. You can get across the map really quickly, slide that little extra distance if you're using a shotgun, really fun to use. I'm not a fan of Quick Draw, but having my weapons ready immediately is just not a very interesting talent, and also you get more agility here. Shadowjack, I'm not using any invisibility in PvP, so Shadowjack would be a wasted talent. And then some people like going Encore with Arc Blade. I much prefer Hungering Blade because you're going to be taking damage while you're in your Bladedancer spec. It's just a pretty much guaranteed thing. So after every kill, starting my health regeneration is just so crucial. Also, having it on my Blink Strike as well is just even better. I don't go with Stalker because I'm not looking to flank people with my Bladedancer spec, and even then, you have to sprint during it, so you're going to be seen during invisibility anyway. Now for PvP, my loadout is pretty similar to my Gunslinger one, so I won't really go over why I chose the armor that I chose. However, I'm generally going more close range, so my maximum close range build is Last Word, because that's the best hand cannon for close range, and then Secret Handshake once again. I prefer Secret Handshake right now to Fellwinter's Lie, mainly because of the rate of fire. I can get 2 shots off really quickly. If someone were to miss me with Fellwinter's Lie, I can easily get 2 quick shots off from a greater distance than it would take Fellwinter's Lie to take me down. However, Fellwinter's Lie, just as good if that's what you use. And then I'm going with Radagast Fury because I really just like this rocket launcher. Against all odds, another really good choice. Okay, now here's my PvE build. If I'm using Bladedancer for PvE, there's only one reason why I'm using it over Gunslinger, and that's for the invisibility factor. So I'm still going to be using Arc Bolt, still going to be using better control, and generally I'll be using Vanish here, because being able to disappear during the last second of your Bladedancer and have it extend into your normal time is really valuable for me. I know a lot of people like going Razor's Edge or Showstopper to kill a lot of mobs, but personally I'd rather my teammates be doing that. If I'm going Bladedancer, it's for the stealth aspects. And with that in mind, I'm going to be going Escape Artist as well. Mainly, if I have to go res a teammate or something, then I can easily Escape Artist out of there, like hitting an enemy that's close by them to regain my invisibility. It's a really versatile choice and allows for a lot of interesting gameplay. Once again, recovery and agility all the way, mainly because I need to be running out really quick and recovering my health really quick if I'm going to be resing teammates. So, Path Forbidden, Way of the Nomad. Now Shadowjack is once again so crucial for this type of spec, mainly because it increases the duration of all the invisibility effects, and that's why I'm going this spec. So Quick Draw, once again, kinda useless, and Fleet-Footed, while it does give me extra agility, I prefer the extra duration on all my invisibility effects. And then finally Stalker, just another way for me to go invisible. Encore is another really good talent if you're wanting to increase the duration of your blade dance, but I'm not looking to do that. So that's why I just go maximum invisibility. Now here's my PvE loadout for Bladedancer. Once again, using my red hand IX, mainly because it's just a really solid, well-rounded hand cannon. I'm using Patience and Time here. It's another way to go invisible, even though Shadowjack doesn't actually affect the duration of this invisibility. It's just nice to use. And then I'm using my Radagast Fury instead here. However, a lot of times I will be changing out, like, for a different sniper rifle or icebreaker or LDR, mainly whatever the situation calls for. I just upgraded this helm at Xur this week, so I haven't had a chance to re-level it. But Mask of the Third Man is what I'll generally be using for Bladedancer, even though I don't really plan on killing a lot of things. Since the arc blade attacks will use less super energy, that means I just have a little bit more time inside my arc blade, so I can get a little bit more invisibility off, or just kill a few more things before having to finally go invisible again. It gives me intellect, which gets my super back even quicker. And then once again, I'm using my discipline strength gear for the raid. I've been thinking about changing Dead Zone Revolution for my Bladedancer spec, but it's just the best looking cloak out there. So that's why I use it. I hope this answered a few questions for you guys in regards to how you should be speccing and gearing your hunters. You don't have to follow my rules here, but, you know, this is just generally what I would do. Once again, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. This has been Patrick Casey with PlanetDestiny, your guide to the Destiny universe.